Yo, what is happening, baby? You already know what's going on today. I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Huddle Chat Sports Show, THC Sports. I'm your host, Dallas Clark, aka Indo is my Nindo. Make sure to follow me on social media at Indo is my Nindo. And if you don't know, I started this sports show because as a Colts fan, I believe that the Indianapolis Colts don't get nearly as much attention as they should in the national headlines. It's up to Colts fans like myself to follow different YouTube channels and different Colts fan pages and stuff like that, just to get a little bit of information that fans of teams such as the Dallas Cowboys get access to every single day of the week, because they're always talking about those same teams on SportsCenter or NFL Network or NBA TV or whatever network that drives you, and you typically see that same team and you're tired of it. Well, that's what we're here for here at the THC Sports. We always try to plow new ground. We try to focus on teams, storylines, headlines that don't get as much attention as they should. Today, we're going to be talking about the toughest division in football. We're also going to be talking about my Indianapolis Colts and what the hell happened to us last weekend. And we're also going to be talking about those Los Angeles Lakers just coming fresh off that 17th title and what the odds are looking for next season coming into it. But as always, it is a marijuana-focused, marijuana-driven, so we are marijuana-powered and sports-driven around here. You already know how it goes. We don't focus on marijuana, but marijuana has become infused in everyday life as well as sports. You're starting to see different leagues such as the NFL, the MLB, stopping testing for marijuana and allowing their players that form of therapy and that form of medication. So, as always, while we do this, we're going to have to get medicated, baby. We're going to have to smoke one, roll one, smoke it if you got it. You already know how it goes. You don't have to consume, but if you do, let's get lit, baby.
Like as soon as you click on the video, it's and then marijuana title cards with smoke coming up. It's like
I just wanna know how you feel. Tell me, am I doing it right? I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good. Baby, let me know, how do I like it, my do-rag? Don't lie to me, let me ride.
So the first thing that I want to get into today is going to be that very hot, very tough, very difficult AFC North division. It's going to be the toughest division in football. There was a time and age that we used to consider that Seahawks division the toughest division in football, but not, especially not with how the 49ers are playing. Unfortunately for them, they've been plagued by the injury bug. So they haven't been able to play up to the typical standard that everybody was expecting from them. But that AFC North right now, you're looking at the Steelers sitting at the top at 4-0 right now, undefeated. And then you got the Ravens at 4-1 and the Browns also at 4-1. The Browns are really hot. The Steelers are really hot. The Ravens are really hot. As a matter of fact, when you look at the Ravens, experts are starting to say that the Ravens are struggling. Yet they're 4-1. So that should tell you something. Even a struggling Ravens team is going to be one of the toughest teams that you can run upon. So who is really going to be the biggest contender, the biggest issue for the Baltimore Ravens in that AFC North division? A lot of people would kind of point at that Pittsburgh Steelers team, because when you look at it, it's really going to be a case of the superstar team with the kind of average quarterback and the veteran quarterback with the kind of average weapons. When you look at those Pittsburgh Steelers, who have they beaten so far, though? The problem is that they've beat the Eagles, the Broncos, the Texans, and the Giants. They've yet to have an overpowering win over any of those four teams. They've yet to have a signature win, and they're yet to beat a good team. They are 4-0, and yes, they've been lucky. They've escaped the injury bug, minus a scare with James Conner and Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, coming in and out of games with concussions and back issues and all the other things. But Chase Claypool, the rookie, came out last week. In his absence, came out and played like a stud. But when you look at that Cleveland Browns team, the Cleveland Browns is who I really think is going to be the hardest challenge for that Baltimore Ravens team. Like I said earlier, it's going to be all about the all-star weapons that they have. They have Odell Beckham Jr., alongside Jarvis Landry at the wide receiver spot. They got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb paired together to make the number one rushing attack in football right now. Yes, Nick Chubb is going to be hurt, but when he comes back, he's going to help split those carries with Kareem Hunt, and they're going to be able to continue that number one, that top rushing attack. Don't forget about D'Ernest Johnson, the rookie, who has been able to come in and make steadfast, kind of be like a flex seal for Nick Chubb while he's been hurt. He's been doing amazing, not crazy great on fantasy or anything like that, but he has definitely served his purpose as the third string running back in case one of those two was to get hurt. But then when you look at it as well, they still got David Njoku at tight end. They added Austin Hooper from the Atlanta Falcons last year. So they've got two great tight ends. They've got two great wide receivers. They've got two great running backs. Their offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in football. So you kind of are checking all the boxes in an offensive scheme that you need to be a powerful team. The only problem that they have is going to be Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, unfortunately, has been fairly pedestrian in this season. Yes, they have the number one rushing attack in the league, but that's followed up with the 29th passing attack in the league. Baker Mayfield isn't even completing 62% of his passes at the current moment. He's thrown 9 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So like I said, he's been fairly pedestrian. He hasn't been explosive. He hasn't come out and shown you that he's going to be able to win those games. But fortunately for the Cleveland Browns, they've put up 30-plus points in all of their last 4 games in this 4-game win streak that they've been on. And Baker Mayfield hasn't had to play like that. Kevin Stefanski's done a really good job at protecting Baker Mayfield with that offensive line. He's also done a good job of protecting Baker Mayfield from himself, from making those bad decisions. They've been doing a great scheme around Baker Mayfield so that Baker Mayfield can look and say, look, if this is what I have to do in order for us to win, if I need to sit back and let my weapons work, and that's what I need to do to win, it doesn't need to be the Baker Mayfield show. And Kevin Stefanski has done amazing at that, at keeping Baker Mayfield protected, not only from the other teams, but from himself. So the biggest question mark is going to come when they do play those tough matchups on their schedule, when they do get into those tight games, on if Baker Mayfield can win them those games, because they haven't had to win any games on Baker Mayfield's back. Fortunately for all of us this weekend, we get I think it's got to be Sunday's marquee matchup for sure, the best matchup all Sunday long, and one of the 2 best games in this entire coming week outside of the Chiefs-Bills game, which I also think is going to be amazing on Monday Night Football. This Browns-Steelers game is going to be an amazing divisional rivalry, and I honestly think the Browns might have that edge, not just in this game, but overall in the season, to eventually be able to knock off those Baltimore Ravens, because if they can get past the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're starting to look at 11, 12 wins being actually possible for this Cleveland Browns team. It took them a year to adjust, but they ended up getting into their own right, and now the Cleveland Browns are exactly what everybody expected them to be a year ago. So Lamar Jackson and them Baltimore Ravens really need to get it figured out. If they truly are struggling, they need to watch out for Baker and them boys, because them Cleveland Browns on that ass. Speaking of Cleveland Browns, though, the team that they just beat, they got the Indianapolis Colts. My Indianapolis Colts, they let me down this weekend. It was a good game on paper. It was a good matchup, and it wasn't a blowout victory. But as a Colts fan, it feels like we got trounced on last weekend. We only lost by 9 points, but when you count up a pick 6 thrown by Phillip Rivers, as well as a just rookie mistake Phillip Rivers makes, throwing an intentional grounding in the opposite end zone, causing a safety. Now add that up, a touchdown and a safety, and what does that get you? Exactly, 9 points. And that's what we lost by. Our defense played great. Our wide receivers, our running back, they played decent. They made the plays when we were supposed to. We actually, in the first half, did not have the ball very much in that first half, and that was a big problem of ours. But we had 3 really big issues in this game, and here's what happened to the Indianapolis Colts this week. The first big problem, a lot of people may or may not have known this, Anthony Costanzo, our starting left tackle, had been injured, which makes one key highlight for the Colts that I would like to point out. This actually breaks our very long-standing record of the most consecutive starts by all 5 offensive linemen. We had held that record up until this week with Anthony Costanzo sitting out. We have the best offensive line in football when healthy, obviously. And with one of them going out, we put LaRaven Clark out at left tackle this week, matched up against Myles Garrett. And boy, did Myles Garrett have a fucking field day. Myles Garrett forced 3 turnovers this last Sunday. It was insane. He also got to the quarterback at least 2 times. I didn't have the exact number on that, but he got to the quarterback at least 2 times. Like I said, he forced 3 turnovers. Let's cut that back. Myles Garrett had a fucking field day against the Indianapolis Colts, and LaRaven Clark specifically. He was in Phillip Rivers' ass all day long. And that extra pressure put up on Phillip Rivers, he's slow as molasses, and it was just causing sacks left and right. Myles Garrett himself forced 3 turnovers, and the Cleveland Browns defense kind of did have a day on Phillip Rivers. The problem right now is that Phillip Rivers is in season 17, and he's making rookie mistakes. Now, as a Colts fan, I've always been rocking with it since the signing of Phillip Rivers. I originally didn't want us to sign Phillip Rivers, but once we did, I, of course, got on the hype train because that's my quarterback. I've got to be excited about it. But I'm starting to lose faith in Phillip Rivers. Like I said, he's making those rookie mistakes in season 17 that you just honestly can't be making. That interception that he threw to Harrison, he made one of the key mistakes as a quarterback that you don't make. One of them is throwing across your body. Another one is don't throw late into the flat. And he threw late into the flat when he was blind and thought, oh, this is a safe route. It's man on man. This is my safe receiver. And he honestly just throws it right to Harrison. Harrison makes the catch, and that's a wrap. Pick 6. They take it back to the house. And then on that intentional grounding call, he makes a pedestrian mistake, just a terrible mistake that you don't expect from a veteran quarterback. This is the exact reason, the main reason that I said I was kind of happy about the Phillip Rivers signing was that he wasn't going to lose us games. But when you're standing in the opposing team's end zone and you throw a pass to absolutely no one while still standing in the pocket to get that intentional grounding, which is the eventual safety, but not only that, spends the next 5 minutes arguing with a referee about he thinks that the wide receiver was supposed to be running a slant route, but he ran a cut route, and that's not how intentional grounding works, Phillip Rivers. And you're in season 17, and you should know that by now. And that's going to be the issue with me with Phillip Rivers, is because in the 2 games that we lost, Phillip Rivers has not played that great. He's made big mistakes, and you can actually physically count Phillip Rivers' mistakes on your hand against the score and see the effect that it has on the outcome of the game. So like I said, we lost by 9 points against the Cleveland Browns. He made 9 points worth of mistakes, and we put us in a different position. We actually have that opportunity to beat that Cleveland Browns team. Another big issue that I believe that we've been having as the Indianapolis Colts is going to be what happened to our mantra from last year. Run the damn ball. Why did we come out this week with Phillip Rivers, who we know is more of a game manager and not really that throw first quarterback when it comes? He's not that Aaron Rodgers type quarterback where you can just come out in an offense where we throw 80% of the plays as passes. That's not Phillip Rivers' game. He's a game manager. And especially when you have the best rookie running back out there right now, people are talking about he's the next Ezekiel Elliott in Jonathan Taylor behind the best offensive line in football. Why are we not running the ball more as the Indianapolis Colts? Why are we not giving Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins more carries when they have proven to us in the last 3 games with Marlon Mack going out? They've proven to us that they can take those carries and they can go with it. They can put up those numbers. They can tire defenses out, and they can also put that eventual dagger in their hearts. But we came out this week for some reason, and we went against our normal game plan, and it showed. We just got away from our own identity. We did not run the damn ball, and we need to get back on that. Quentin Nelson, go get your hat back on, please. The team needs to listen to us. Frank, you need to run the damn ball in order for the Indianapolis Colts to win. I'm not hitting the panic button on the Indianapolis Colts yet, and I'm not hitting the panic button on Phillip Rivers yet. Yes, Phillip Rivers cost us that game and the Jaguars game. Hopefully he doesn't cost us any more. The Texans are playing like absolute dog shit right now. The Jaguars are not playing well, even though they beat us in the first week, and we're fairly close behind them Tennessee Titans. We still have 2 matchups against the Tennessee Titans, so we still have a chance in our division. But we really just need to stay cool, stay calm, stay collected. 1 game doesn't mean the end of everything. We still got it. But we just got to get back to running the ball, and we got to get our offensive line back to being healthy. And then Phillip Rivers just needs to stop making them rookie mistakes. And we got to stop putting so much pressure on Phillip Rivers, because that's not who Phillip Rivers is. Now, the last thing I want to get into today is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, we all know the Los Angeles Lakers just won their 17th title in franchise history. It was a great feat by LeBron James and everything like that. More great feat by Anthony Davis. I personally think Anthony Davis should have been Finals MVP, but that's another argument for another day. We're not getting into that today. What we are talking about right now, they've already come out with the odds for next year, 2021, and the Los Angeles Lakers are favored to win the 2021 NBA Finals Championship. My question is, why? Should the Lakers really be favored to win next year's championships? I don't believe so. I mean, we're also going to be discussing in next episode what type of asterisk is going to go next to this NBA championship that the Lakers just won. Some people are saying that this is the hardest NBA championship that's ever happened, and there should be an asterisk next to it because it was even more difficult than all the last ones. I think a little bit different. But we're going to get into that in the very next episode, so make sure you stay tuned. But this was definitely a weird year, though. There was no Golden State Warriors, no Steph and Clay. Kevin Durant's been sidelined all year. LeBron James didn't even have to face who everybody was expecting him to face in the Western Conference Finals, and that would be Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers. Instead, they faced a young, puppy Denver Nuggets team who held their own. But at the end of the day, they're puppies. Nobody expected them to really get through LeBron. Nobody even expected them to win one game. So the fact that we're looking at the Los Angeles Lakers right now and just basically saying it's easy to put this NBA season in a vacuum, or even just this NBA playoffs in a vacuum, or in this case, put it in a bubble, and kind of say, man, who's going to stop Anthony Davis and LeBron James? I mean, easily you could just look back one game and look at the Denver Nuggets. As is, the Denver Nuggets are a great team. They're a contender. They've got 2 MVP capable players on their team, and we're going to be giving them another year of experience. The Denver Nuggets, hopefully, just the older they get, the more experience they get, the more playoff prowess they get, the better they'll get in the playoffs. So you can just easily look at the Denver Nuggets and say they could be an issue for the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James next year. A lot of people easily will look over at the Golden State Warriors and say, assuming Steph and Clay come back to be even most of what they were before their injuries, that is going to be, again, the best backcourt in basketball. I mean, you have an MVP caliber player as well as the best pure shooter maybe ever, who can also do other things than Klay Thompson. They still got Draymond Green. They got Pascal. They got Looney. They've got a lot of draft capital, so they have a lot of room to bring somebody in, whether it be through a blockbuster trade or one of the best picks in the draft. But me personally, I feel like that's a lot of assumption. That's a lot of what ifs. What if Steph and Clay can come back as good as they are? What if the Golden State Warriors can stack their trade picks and get a lot of or their draft picks and get a lot of trade capital for it? What if the Golden State Warriors are still the Golden State Warriors? But who I think everybody's going to be discounting this year, and I'm surprised that nobody's talking about it, it's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Now let's just look at it and say Kevin Durant, same thing with Steph and Clay. Let's just say Kevin Durant comes back to even be partially most of what he was before his injury. And what he was before his injury was people were debating whether he was better than LeBron, and he was playing better than LeBron. Yes, it was on a better team than what LeBron had, so that's going to be up for debate. But that was still the debate before the injury. So Kevin Durant coming back off injury, even if he's most of what he is, that Brooklyn Nets team is going to be nasty. You still have Kyrie Irving on that team, also coming off of injury. And he is so unstoppable on offense that it makes us not even sometimes pay attention to how amazing of a defensive player Kyrie Irving actually is. He's balling on both sides of the court. And if both players come back healthy to even be partially what they even were, they are 2 of the top 10, maybe even 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA together. And as we've argued with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and as will be the argument for a while with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, typically when you give a team 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA, that team makes the finals and wins it. So you're talking about 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA versus 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. I don't think Steph and Clay can match with LeBron and AD. But KD and Kyrie might have a better chance with their size, with their defensive prowess, with their offensive unstoppability. I think that Brooklyn Nets team is going to be absolutely dominant. Steve Nash is going to be able to come in and coach them well. We haven't even been able to get into the Dinwiddie, the Levert they have. I just absolutely think that Brooklyn Nets team is going to dominate the Eastern Conference next year, and it's going to be one of the biggest issues for LeBron James in this next season. Is going to be that Brooklyn Nets team, KD, Kyrie. So, should the Lakers be favored? I definitely don't think so. There were too many missing pieces in this season. It was too easy for the Lakers this season. They were missing too many of their biggest challenges this year. So the Lakers shouldn't be odds-on favorites just yet. Watch out for them Nets next year. But that is going to do it for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it's your boy Dallas, aka Indo is my Nindo. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode today. If you haven't already, smash the shit out that like button. Smack it like it owes you money. And if you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. Always turn on that notifications bell. Stay tuned for my weekly episodes. And please never be afraid to comment anything. I will always typically respond to those comments, whether you're trying to debate with me on my show, whether you have feedback on my podcast, or whether you just want to argue with me in the comments about what I just said. Never be afraid to comment. I'll always interact with everybody. Again, I'm your host, Dallas Clark, a.k.a. Indo is my Nindo. That's going to do it for today's episode of the Huddle Chat Sports. Stay high, stay safe, stay blazing out there, baby. I'm out of here.
What you doing?